2005 back in the days, and developed using or administrating, consulting all the XenApp versions, all the XenDesktop versions, more or less every Citrix product, including the infamous password manager. And in the recent month, I'm using or consulting NetScaler mostly. And yeah, the recent weeks I've been doing a lot of work with NetScaler and PowerShell. This is actually my first E2E. It's my first session on a conference ever, and it's my first session in English. So if you brought stones, just don't throw them or throw them at Carsten. Yeah, so that's me.
Okay.
No?
No.
No.
Ah,
Yep.
it's okay. Okay, we have got a little agenda. First of all, we will talk about the requirements, then some general thoughts why using PowerShell. Then we will do a lot of demos, as you can see. We will automate some basic stuff. We will secure up the NetScaler. We will do some load balancing. I think we will make a DNS load balancer and change it from the NetScaler to use the internal load balancer for DNS requests. And we will do some backup with PowerShell because a lot of customers are using backup, and then they have to copy the file, and they will do this every single day, and that's not really nice. So, okay, what do we want and why? I think to use PowerShell is very easy and very simple because it's installed in your system. So you don't have to install anything like a Puppet server.
Great tool anyway, Puppet.
Yeah, great tool. Or something like a command center. Why do we want it? Because you have no interaction to the graphical user interface, if it's possible, not in all cases, but the most things you can automate with PowerShell and REST. Yeah, and it's our thinking is to create a framework to automate daily tasks. Something like we have a customer which is asking us to have a PowerShell script for taking a server down and binding him to another load balancing server to do some testings and stuff like this. If he has finished his testing, put it back and send this web server guys, and they are not familiar with NetScaler, so they only want to click once and then say, is this service down? Okay, we can test it. And I don't know if you know it, we have a tool, a framework, it's called Scenario Logics, and so we are automating stuff like the desktop, the net, provisioning server, storefront, license server, everything. And so the next step is to automate all the other things like NetScaler and maybe Zen Mobile, but only maybe.
If I may add, so Logics is basically a tool that you give to a customer or you use for a customer, and he's able to use a so-called data editor, and he will just go and say my farm is called like this, my PBS server is called like this, that's this IP, blah blah blah, and then says run more or less. And Logics uses PowerShell script to install and configure all the machines. Yes,
make some hardening as well.
Sorry again?
Making some hardening, so setting some registry keys and installing some security hotfixes and things like this.
That's basically the reason why we chose to use PowerShell for our NetScaler automation as well, because in the end we might want to integrate it into our already existing Logics framework, so this was our way.
Yeah.
So is it a product you sell, or is
Sorry,
is it your product? Is this your product you sell, or
no? We don't sell it. If we consult or if you buy consulting from us, we'll just bring it. So, yeah.
So it's mostly for free, but only for customers.
Sure.
So I will have you at least 1 hour, and then I have it. We share this out.
It's actually most scripts in the PowerLogics are readable. They're not scripted, not encrypted or anything. It's just like the central running instance that keeps the framework going. Okay, so this is what you find. Oh, okay.
Okay, benefits of using PowerShell. If you have Windows, you have got PowerShell. So that's really easy. I told it already. You need no additional components like a Puppet server, SQL server for the command center. Has anybody used the command center before? Some of you. So you need an SQL server from SQL server from Microsoft to have a database and to use the command center. And you need an additional server and things like this. It's really complicated to implement for a customer. Yeah, and another basic thing is to use a subnet IP address, because if you get HA, you have to speak with your NSIP, and if you want to automate something, it's really hard to connect to the NetScaler, ask, are you primary? No? Okay, let's take the other one. So it's easier to use a subnet IP address with management as access, and you will always directly connect it to the primary NetScaler environment. So this is our basic why we are using PowerShell.
Yeah. So, okay, so that's my part now.
Yeah.
If we want to do what we do, we have a few requirements. So if you want to automate NetScaler via PowerShell, you should at first know a bit about PowerShell. Before I started this internal project, I had just a bit of PowerShell knowledge, so the end days administrator knowledge. I get some information, send something in. But I'm not really good at writing really nice looking and proper done scripts, so I will show you a few scripts of mine later on, and they might look a bit weird to someone who is really good at PowerShell, but yeah, so you need a bit of understanding of PowerShell. It's not too bad to know what REST is. Esther gave a really good explanation of what REST is and what Nitro is. There are a few new faces in the room, so REST is basically a technology for systems to talk to each other via standard procedures, kind of a new SOAP thing, and it works via HTTP, HTTPS. And Nitro is the framework, the Citrix framework for NetScaler, which provides a couple of APIs to automate, to script, to whatever NetScaler. And you can basically use Java or .NET or Python and REST to talk to Nitro. And we just decided to use REST because it's just simple and it doesn't have almost no, requirements. If you use the .NET, you might have to install a certain .NET version on your machine or something like this. So we decided to use PowerShell. To use our scripts, you have to have PowerShell at least version 3 available, and we developed using NetScaler version 11. Okay, so demo time. What we're going to show in our demos is we have 3 steps. We're basing on the NetScaler VPX, which is running on my local, no, we're not there already, which is running on my local Hyper-V machine. Can you go back? Yes.
Sorry.
No worries. The thing is, what we can't do with PowerShell right now is we can't configure the initial IP settings on NetScaler. So this is what I've done before. I have a machine with a NetScaler IP, and that's it. It's running already. And what we're going to do now then is we're going to configure the machine. Basically, we're going to secure it a bit. We're going to add a user. We're going to we're going to add DNS load balancing, and we're going to back up the machine. This will be the 3 parts. Okay, so first part, you can click and click and click and click. There's hardening. Yes, thanks. The first part of demo will be the basic configuration hardening. So we'll show you how we connect to the NetScaler. I'll actually show this as well. We will add a snip for management access, as Carsten explained. We will upload and install certificates, which is actually a bit of a pain in the ass at the moment. And yeah, we'll do some basic configuration actually.
Yeah, you will see.
Okay, so what I have here is a bunch of scripts that include my functions. And this is the console of my NetScaler running on my local Hyper-V, which is here. So what I'm going to do first is, can you read this? Yeah. Okay. So I'll just open a plain PowerShell session, and I'll navigate to my folder and run all my scripts, so I have all my functions available. I can get my commands using get commands. So these are all the functions we coded and we have available right now. They called NSA just so I can easily find them with get command, and it's NetScaler automation.
We trust you.
When we're done with this, it will change. But yeah, it's a bit of a waste.
It's an internal name.
Yeah, we're watching. So first thing we'll do is we'll use the connect script to connect to the NetScaler. The connect script is the one I'll show you here. All the scripts we're using in our framework are more or less similar. So what we do first is we always have a few params that we push into the script. Here it's a username and protocol we want to use to connect an endpoint, which is an IP address, and the timeout, which is the one you set when you connect via GUI as well. We put in a password, which is at least a secure string, which is not plain text. Then we set a few global variables for the other function to use. Then we build a hash table including the information we need to log on. We convert this hash table to JSON format, and then we send a REST method to the NetScaler using the protocol we set, using the endpoint IP address, and then stating the Nitro UL, giving the payload information as a body, using a post method, and so on and so forth. And in the end, we're going to store the connection information in a global variable called NS session, which the other scripts can use as well. So this is what we're going to do now. The script's called NSA connect NS. We give an endpoint, we have a user, the protocol is HTTP. And we ask for the password, which is in its root, and we connect it now.
Is it possible to save the password? And using a variable in PowerShell script?
Yes, of course. If you want to store the password in the PowerShell script, you can do this as well. You could just say password equals whatever, but then it's plain text and it's in script. So yeah, that's just right. What I
smart.
That's just what I wanted to avoid. You can do this, but yeah.
So if you want, you can do this for some customers or something. But
so the output of this is basically a session variable that we can use now. The next step in our first demo is to, well, just set a time zone. We can check this prior to this as well. So we can get the NSConfig information, and as you can see, the time zone is coordinated to universal time. As I'm living in the Berlin time zone, I'm going to set the time zone to Berlin. And when we run the get command, That's what, again, we can see time zone is set to GMT, Europe. Same we're going to do with the host name. We ask for the host name in the first place to get an empty value because there's no host name set. And set the host name now. There you go. And if I ask for it again, I'll get a host name. Oh, just so you believe me, this is the NetScaler. From the beginning, I want to show you this. I just forgot. Okay, next step is we're going to add some subnet IP addresses. So this is part of the initial configuration process as well. I'm going to add 2 subnet IP addresses. 41 is the normal subnet IP address that NetScaler uses to talk to a subnet. And we're going to use 42 as our management subnet IP address. This is where we enable management access via the switch. And we're going to restrict this access as well to management. There you go. Next step is to add DNS servers. I got 2 DNS servers here. .100 is my actual domain controller. .101 is not available. It's just a fake DNS server. I'm going to add it anyway to show you something later. And I'm going to set an NTP server as well. I'm going to read out the MAC address. We usually would require to get our license file from Citrix, so this is the host ID. I prepared the license file already, but we could read this MAC address using for a license file. And then, similar to what Esther did, we decided to use not WinSCP but PSCP to upload and download our files because using REST to do that is a bit of a pain. So we just read PSCP here. We're going to use PSCPX. We have the user, we have an endpoint as well. We have a file which is $mac for the license because we've just read the host ID to $mac. And we have a type, and type actually just specifies where to put the file. So if it's type lick, it puts the file in the lick directory of NetScaler. If it's cert, it puts the file in the cert file. So that's what we're going to do. You're going to have to type our password for every step here. And our file's uploaded now. And we're going to save the config and reboot on NetScaler so that the license file is actually accepted. You can see that it's working because WinSCP is complaining and the console will tell us it as well. Any questions so far? We're going to have to wait for NetScaler to reboot anyway.
Maybe you can show some of our functions we're using.
What was it? The function, which function do you want to see?
Just show.
Just some. Okay, so we have a backup function. I don't know.
Yeah. But so this is my part.
This is your part. This is your part. We're going to see, let's do the operations one. We're going to see the reboot NS function. So same as with the connect, it's giving some parameters. It's the session we created initially as a protocol. It's the endpoint. We can set a warm switch, which is the warm reboot switch you can use in NetScaler GUI as well. And we can say save config as well if we don't want to execute the save config function before. And what it does, it also creates a hash table, converts it to JSON, and then sends it to the config reboot part of the Nitro.
So I think it's really easy to use because it's always the same payload, and you only have to configure some lines to have the right payload for what you want to do, and so it's really easy to use.
What Esther mentioned earlier was that it's quite handy to have tools if you want to work with a Nitro API like Postman or something like this, because if you just use a browser, Nitro more or less looks like this. Now this is the whole NetScaler config, and it's a bit, I don't know.
It's so easy readable.
Yeah,
It's like the matrix.
So if you want to look at, have a look at all the NetScaler IPs, you could go like this, just NS IPs, and you could click all the IPs back. We have 40 as our system IP address, and there should be 41 and 42 in there as well. But get Postman, use Postman, and it will be a lot more easy. Okay, system should be there, so we're gonna refresh our GUI here, log on again as NS root, and we will see that there's a time zone Z, that there is a license file installed and the licenses are activated. There are no functions activated so far, so load balancing is not activated, SSL is not activated, and this is what we're going to do in the next steps. There we go. We're going to connect again. There we go. And we're going to activate the features load balancing and SSL. And what I'd like to do next is I'd like to install the certificate we have already uploaded to the machine. For some reason it stopped working. It just tells me that, it just tells me the operation is not committed. I don't know why. This is something I have to figure out. So I'm going to do my only GUI interaction now. I'm going to install the certificate. Well, we activated this already. Okay, so certificate is installed. So we can proceed with our script and bind this certificate we just installed to our internal services. All internal services have 127.0.0.1 in the name, and our management subnet IP address has our 42 IP address in the name. So this is the function we're going to run to bind the certificate to all internal services. And if we have a look at the internal services now, they will be up and running because the certificate is bound. So what we can do next is we can disconnect. I can save the config first. And then we can disconnect the HTTP session and reconnect using a URL or FQDN that I have a host entry for, and connect via HTTPS. The next thing I'll do is just a bit of very simple security options. We're going to set some HTTP parents to drop invalid requests, which is something you can find in GUI as well if you look.
There's a very good blog post on Citrix to grade A+ for SSL labs.
Yeah.
And we are doing this stuff in our script so that we have got a really good rating on SSL labs. So this is what we are doing right there. So because for the most customers it's very important to have a good rating, and so we do this.
Okay, so I'm going to set those ticks here now.
Okay, so I think we have to speed up a little bit. We have to speed up a little bit.
Okay, yep. Even talking faster. So as you see, ticks are set now on the NetScaler, and I'm going to disable SSA version 3 on my internal services. It will tell us operational committed as well, but it will work for some weird reason. So I'll have to figure out that as well, but it works. And I'm gonna save the config again and disconnect our SSL session. Okay, back to presentation, causes all this to speed up.
Excuse me. Okay.
There we go. There you go.
Okay, that's my part. What we want to do is automatic backup, because every customer wants to have a backup, and we want to have a backup too. So what we can do actually is to create a backup file, to copy this backup file to our local file system, to file system running a file server or something like this, so that the normal backup mechanism will work for you. And you can delete the backup files from the appliance directly, because if you have running a NetScaler for a long time and you will have a daily backup, you will have a lot of backup files maybe, so we want to delete them directly. So let's install it. So this is so now you can see what I'm doing. At first, have to perfect.
You are using the same share file account like NSA?
Okay, so now we want to connect. Script users.
I don't know. I think we did not have the user.
Don't you?
No, that's it. Yeah, I was planning to add a user as well, but somehow I forgot this. It was causing stress.
Sorry, guys. So now we are connected, and we can make a backup.
What we're doing now is we have 3 steps actually. So we're creating a full backup in the first place.
Yeah.
And the second step is to download this file to our local file system. And the third step is to delete it from the remote NetScaler again. So we won't get jammed with all those backups if it's in the backup system anyway. Yeah. So we see we created a backup file.
Yeah. Actually, this time, today. So the next step is to copy the backup file. So now you can see all the backup file right here on our file system. So you can use a local file system, but in some cases it will not be backed by a normal mechanism. So write it on normal file server. Then it will.
Can you show the backup in the GUI at this time to see the file you created in the GUI? Can you see this?
Just give me 1 second.
Yes, of course. So now
There it is.
it will run if you run the next script.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Hopefully.
Sure. Okay.
Yep.
It's done. And you can see it directly on the NetScaler file system. There it is. And we'll make a refresh.
Yeah.
The create backup file sets script sets a file name variable, and the delete backup script function uses this variable. So it only needs the last created backup actually right now. The fourth step is a function that includes all the 3 steps. So if you just want to run, if you just want to create the backup, download it and delete it at once, you can do this as well.
No. Sorry, so we will skip this step. Okay, what are we doing in this? You can see it, this is our script. It's mostly the same we are doing in all other scripts as well. So we will set the parameters, we make a payload, we convert it to JSON, and then we will set up our REST request. So we will do this for create, for delete, and for copy.
And copy uses the PSCP.
Yeah, it just uses PSCP with the submission.
It's a very easy way to implement PSCP because you only need one file. This is this one. You can download it. It's free for use, and you can script with this file very well.
Yeah, you can extract it to store it on an external repository.
Yeah.
Okay, nice.
So it's great.
How about the restore?
It's not implemented yet. It's only backup, not restore.
Okay.
That will be for the next masterclass.
Okay.
It will be in
Definitely
the
good
advanced version.
Yeah.
So yeah, it will be implemented, but we just started with automating this stuff months ago, and this is what we implemented in 1 month. So
Okay.
only if we have time, we will
So
write some.
I got the same result that you got. So I have an automatic backup for my NetScaler, of course. And when I try to restore it, it works with restoring it in the file system, but I did not figure it out how to show it up in the GUI to reload the backup.
Okay. So you can copy it back to the NetScaler file system.
Yeah.
And it won't show up in the GUI.
It won't show up in the UI. The refresh only doesn't seem to refresh from the file system. There must be another entry, I think.
Aren't there those text files that include?
Yeah, it's included the text files and the tar file you created, but it doesn't show up in the GUI.
Okay.
So that's the most interesting part.
Okay, we will figure it out and contact you.
Should you simply reboot the NetScaler?
Yeah, many times.
Have you tried turning it off and on?
Okay. I think it's
Okay, yeah, so this is the third part of our demo. It will be creating a load balancing construct on NetScaler. We use a DNS load balancer because we decided it's just not too good to have the simple DNS server entries, and it's a good way to show it. So we're going to create a few load balancing servers, load balancing monitor, load balancing service group, and a load balancing vServer, and we're going to bind this as system DNS server. That's what we're going to do. And our last step. Here we go. The thing is, you can, if you wish, you can do all the steps by using the script and say like add NS vServer name, la la la, configuration, la la la. But we decided that it might be easier and more handy for customers to use a JSON file to create stuff like this. So we have a JSON file called demo NSA2E, blah blah. And we have a section called LD items, which are all load balancing items. And for each and every item, we have a category. This, we have the servers on top. We're adding 2 servers here. We have service groups, we have load balancing vServers, and we have a monitor to create. And
this is the same thing we will do with our data editor. So we will have a data editor to fill in all these names and stuff like this. So the customer only is viewing a GUI and don't need to do this stuff because it's not very handy. So we like to create this data editor to make us use JSON files. Excuse me.
Yeah, no worries. And they are not only the elements we want to create, but you have to bind them as well. This is something you know from the batch configuration as well. So we do bindings in the end. We do service group monitor bindings, service group server bindings, and vServer service group bindings. And this JSON file is actually used by one function called, or two functions called NSA add load balancing item JSON and NSA add load balancing bindings JSON. So what we're going to do is go to PowerShell. We already know folder, so we're going to run the connect. No, we're not going to run the connect script user, we're going to run the connect as root. And it takes oddly long.
Okay, we've got 5 minutes left.
That's all right.
Okay.
See? Yeah. And then we're going to run the first script to add all the load balancing items. I'm just going to show you that there are no load balancing items by now, so you might believe me. So there are no virtual services, there are no service groups, there are no servers, and there's no monitor, like no special DNS monitor. So we're going to run the script. It takes a few seconds. We're going to update the monitor here. I have a service group here. I have the vServer here, which is down because it has no service groups and so forth. So we have to run our binding function as well. There we go. A few seconds again. Update this, and our vServer is up because at least one of our servers that has been created and added to the service group is up. And the last thing to do is remove the DNS service we installed initially and add our just created load balancing vServer as DNS server. There we go. And we go back to the GUI. We can see that that the name servers are the load balancing vServer and it's up and running. Okay. Done. So much for the last demo.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's basically it. So this was our little presentation of what we did so far in automating NetScaler with PowerShell. There will be more coming up, and feel free to follow us on Twitter to get updates. There will be a blog in the next days as well about this topic. There will be scripts to download in there, and yes, thank you all for listening.
We will upload some sample scripts, so you can use them if you want. And I think not about the load balancing, but if you're interested in it, just drop an email or Twitter us, then you will get.
We're going to Twitter the blog URL in the next days. It's not in here because we're going to send.
We will. I think on Monday or Tuesday.
Yeah. Should be online on Monday, so we're going to tweet it then and you can get the information. Thanks.